is Notsam Wrestling.
Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
So here with me is a man who has been wrestling for over 20 years professionally. And to me, I feel like, and I've talked to other people about this, one of the singular and purest goal you can have in wrestling is to be able to make a living in the wrestling business. And I feel like you're a guy who has excelled at that, at figuring out how one can do that. He has huge freaking arms.
Huge.
Massive arms. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Luke Hawx.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here in the studio, man.
Nah, man, it's a pleasure. I've been trying to get on for ever now, chasing you down. You know, I was basically going to kidnap you if you didn't have me on. So.
I appreciate it, because we'd spoken a couple times, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And it wasn't one of those blow-up things. It was just like, yeah, let's do it. And then you're in New Orleans, I'm in New York.
So it's difficult. And then, I mean, your schedule has been slammed lately.
Right. But then, all of a sudden, there was an organized effort.
There was.
And I started getting all these messages on Twitter and on Instagram, and I was like, you know what?
Jim Nielsen started that.
Really?
Yeah, Jim Nielsen started it. He sent out the first tweet. And I was like, Sam hates me. He'll never have me on.
And I was like, wait a minute. And then when the tweets and Instagram started coming in, I was like, you know what? Whether it's legit or not, you've earned it. like this.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I've been looking forward to it. So I'm
Please,
a big
I
fan.
appreciate it.
Big fan. So I've always followed your stuff. Obviously, I follow the Sirius radio show as well.
Oh my gosh!
I told you I keep satellite radio because of that. Them and Ellis, but nah, I appreciate it, man. So I've been looking forward to coming on. You always do great work, and your stuff is just boom. So this is like big time for me.
Well, this is big time for me, because to me, I mean, you are a guy who, like, I mean, your story is awesome, and I feel like not enough people are aware of it. And I don't know. Honestly, I think it's partly geographic. I think that
it's a huge part. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you're from Louisiana, right? And
so we don't get a lot of love down there.
Yeah, like Louisiana is not a hotbed.
Only time we get a lot of love is when WrestleMania comes.
Twice.
Everybody uses me up for my wrestling license, and then they completely forget about me after that.
Is that how it goes? They're like, who do we know who's got a wrestling license in New Orleans?
So there's this deal with the Louisiana Athletic Commission. They won't license out-of-state competitors. Not wrestlers, but like companies.
Sure.
Of, like,
I
WWE.
see.
So every year they come, you know, obviously these other companies, the independent companies want to run these big shows and they want to follow Mania around.
Yeah.
So they have to use a license. So every time they come, you know, my deal is I never ask for really any money. I just want to see wrestling thrive. So I ask these guys, hey, scratch my back. I'll let y'all use my license, but use a few of my guys and give them an opportunity outside of Louisiana down the line. And then that kind of seems to fall out because they all use the license and then you never hear from them again. Or if you do hit them up, they go, oh, man, we're just so booked up right now. And it's just like, oh, yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I understand that.
Go screw yourself.
So how does that work? Do you get, I mean, is a promoter's license, like, can you just loan it?
So
out?
You can, but here's the thing: is like I'm responsible for everything, and I got a chance of losing everything I have on top of it, which is difficult, right? Because you work so hard.
Yeah,
you work so hard to build this brand. We've been around 8 years. We actually just had our 8-year anniversary show last week that drew over 2,200 people.
And
we ran that at an arena, the Pontchartrain Center, which is a massive arena. If you've seen the WNW shows, they ran there. During Mania weekend, so that was the same arenas they ran in. But we, you know, we did it on a very large scale.
2,200 people.
2,200, a little over 2,200, and they were loud, they were rowdy, and our fans are great, man. And it's like I think one of those geographic things, like you said, is I didn't really see the internet explode over that or get a lot of love off of that. And you know, not that you I'm not doing this to get my back patted, but I would like some recognition, and I'd like to get my guys out there more because we have so good of talent guys that don't get any credit. We got guys like Jay Spade, Buku Dow, Matt Lancey, Danny Flamingo, and there's a list a mile long, right?
Yeah.
And we got new students coming out, but just because they're not in this hyped up area where they're working and they're getting these internet reporters reporting on them, they're not getting any love. And as a coach, for me, it drives me crazy because I know these guys can go hang. You could put this guy with the top guy at Ring of Honor. You put Matt Lancey, you put Jay Spade with the top guy at Ring of Honor,
But
top
it's-
guy at Evolve, top guy at this company, that company.
And it's tough because when you're a young guy, you're not making any money, so it's not like you could just pack up, go to New York for the weekend, wrestle a couple shows. Like, it doesn't work that way, does it?
Right. No,
Yeah.
I mean, my guys are willing to do that, but they can't just get in a car and drive here. You know?
Yeah.
So, excuse me. But yeah, that's what makes it difficult. So we're in this area. We work a lot with in Texas. We work with Reality of Wrestling. Actually, me and my son are a tag team, Hawx. We're the Reality of Wrestling tag team champions right now for Booker T.
Yeah, of course.
Which is cool because you know, we're really the only father-son tag team on the scene, and we're doing something very unique. You know, they've had others in the past, and one thing I like is like the Armstrongs. I've always liked, you know, Brad Armstrong and Bullet Bob tagging. But, you know, that was always like a specialty. It was a novelty.
Sure.
You know, like it would be built up to that. We're a full-time father-son tag team.
Yeah.
And my son is a 3-time state champion amateur wrestler, Greco-Roman freestyle, 2-time state Louisiana State team member. Credentials a mile long.
Was there any
So-
part of you with your son that thought about getting him involved in MMA with like a background like that in amateur wrestling? Or was it like, you know, or was it just what do you want to do?
It was really, he kind of fell into wrestling.
Yeah.
So he's doing movies now as well as like I am. So he
So
kind
he's your
of
competition.
Yeah, and but it's cool. It's
Yeah,
cool because
yeah.
we get to work on a lot of stuff together. He's worked on like 3 movies in the past month and a half
That's crazy.
as a stuntman, and he's done some stunts and some acting. Now, it just happened to fall in his lap because as a kid, I was always like you said, 20 years, right? And I never signed a major contract. Never had this like big deal. I signed with MTV, did that MTV deal, the WSX stuff back in the
Wrestling
day.
Society X.
And had a couple offers for stuff that I didn't think was good for me. So so I've always stuck on my own. I found a way to be fortunate enough to make a living out of it.
Yeah,
And then-
that's what's interesting to me. And we talked to Matt Tremont about it, like guys who maybe haven't gotten the shot right at getting a run in a major contracted promotion, but still have figured out a way where this is
Right.
This is what I do. This is
and
my life.
For me, when I think about it, I think it's. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've had some opportunities. I just don't think they were the right opportunities for me because I didn't like what was being offered.
Do you still do you think back at any opportunities that you got and think to yourself like, oh, you know what? At the time, I was being a little hard headed.
No, not at all. Because I was already doing extremely well, and by what I mean, like not to put finances out there, but the contracts they were offering, I was making more in residuals off of films.
Right.
So, and I have health insurance, and I don't have to move, and I don't have to do this, and I can pick and choose my wrestling. So
keeping your plate clean allows you to go like, no, I can wrestle and I can also do this stuff. So let's talk about it. So you started, you know, a little over 20 years ago.
1999, yeah.
And and I was looking at it, you're trained by Vic Grimes. Your first big spot is in XPW.
Right.
You also wrestle for the ECW reunion thing that
Right,
was
which was
almost
crap.
yeah. It was
poorly ran.
But my question is, were you a big ECW
Huge.
fan? And in your head, are you going... Because I think that happened like right around that time, 1999. I feel like there was a whole new young generation that the goal became, I want to wrestle for ECW. And when ECW shut its doors, I feel like guys like you in that very short period of time are going, wait, that was the plan.
Right. No, 100%. ECW was my mecca. That was my everything.
Yeah.
And I actually just told my girlfriend this on the flight up here. So, because she has no idea about wrestling and stuff like that. So I'm kind of breaking her in on the stories and the travel and how everything breaks down.
Yeah.
Well, I told her my goal was after high school, I was going to move to Philadelphia. There was a guy who worked for ECW named Rob Feinstein on our video.
course.
I was always cool with Rob. I was cool with everybody in ECW. So ECW used to come to Louisiana. I helped put the ring up. I sold videos. I sold T-shirts for them. I did all that
And how
stuff.
did you just...
I just walked in one day.
Yeah.
The very first time they came, well, the second time they came, actually. The second time they came, I seen Tommy Dreamer outside. He said, hey, are you guys... I think he asked us if we wanted to get in the show free or if we wanted some free shirts, if we were willing to help out. And I was like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Would you?
Yeah. I
So-
would have helped out for no shirts.
yeah. I would have did it and then paid you on top of it.
Can I talk to you, Tommy? Then
Yeah.
yeah. Like, yeah.
So I started working with those guys, and you know, and like I said, I was still in high school, but my goal was to graduate high school, move to Philadelphia.
How often did they come to Louisiana?
Probably at least twice a year.
Wow.
So,
I mean, even
and they-
that's crazy when you think about it. What ECW was, the fact that this Philly indie got so big, it was coming to Louisiana twice a year. Like that's a big
and
deal.
they did a loop. They did a loop in the South. They would go they do like Lafayette, Louisiana, or Baton Rouge, New Orleans another night, and then like Pensacola, Florida, the last night, something like that. And I would go to all the shows.
You would?
Yeah. So and I would travel with them, and I would do the whole, you know, whatever.
So you were setting up the ring, you were selling tapes, you were just whatever.
Yeah, just whatever you needed because you know you just wanted to be a part. And that's how I met Vic Grimes.
Uh-huh.
So I pestered the hell out of Vic Grimes, got his phone number.
Why was Vic Grimes the guy that you
I think
pestered?
I think it was because he showed me like the most attention. Everybody for the most part was cool.
Yeah.
Tommy was always cool with me. Taz was really nice. There's so and I literally met everybody and I would hang out with everybody. And there was a couple guys who were jerks, but you know, because I was a fan, right? I really wasn't supposed to be around, and they still had the kayfabe and everything.
Yeah, and it was ECW, it was the badass, like,
right.
yeah.
So they'd be like, some guys would be like, well, why is this kid in the dressing room? Why is this kid here with the, you know?
I'm surprised Taz was even nice. Not because, I mean, he's a great dude. I know him now, but like, you would hear stories about him trying to maintain that character.
Right. So, but he was always a gentleman to me.
Yeah.
And then, so I started, like I said, I started working with him, and then Vic was the nicest to me. So Vic, like, literally sat there and talked to me and talked to me and talked to me and talked to me. So there became that kind of attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me get your phone number. Oh, let me try and help you get bookings in Louisiana. Let me do this. Let me do that.
So you're a kid, and you're like trying to help him get bookings at other promotions.
Yeah. So
you just were good at talking, weren't you?
Well, it was my life.
Yeah.
So it was my life.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was like everything in my life revolved around wrestling. And if you know my backstory, we don't have to get into the whole thing today, but you know, I grew up in a boys' home. I got adopted. Like my mom was a bad drug addict. Like it was this. I have this terrible story that takes forever to tell.
But this is your escape.
But wrestling was my escape. When wrestling was on, nothing else. Look, everything else could be going on fire around me.
Right.
And it just didn't matter.
So it's another reason why you wanted to not just go to ECW shows, but do whatever they would let you do, because that's the world you want to be in, not the world that you're stuck in real life.
Correct. So that's when I, you know, my goal was to, after high school, go there. Excuse me. I keep bourbon. These damn Red Bulls.
It's okay. It's okay. It's good. It's mind vitalization, but it makes you gassy too.
Exactly.
So, you know, you can't have everything.
So I was like, so Rob Feinstein told me, oh, well, our video was booming. They had stores in all these malls up here and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Rob was like, well, he helped with all the international talent, with hotels.
Yeah,
and
I was making all the
apartments.
RF video bootlegs and selling them myself.
So Rob would always talk to me. Rob said, when you're ready to come to Philadelphia, let me know. I'll get you a job with my company, and I'll hook you up with an apartment, because I got all the apartment hookups from all the international guys. So I was like, cool. So I graduated, had a little money saved. My son was 1 at this point.
Oh, wow.
Because I had my son my sophomore year in high school.
Wow.
So, and I said, well, I'm going to move to Philadelphia.
Did that also make you think, like, I need a plan? Like, I'm going to finish high school,
but
there's no, like, what am I going to do? Like, I need a plan. I need to make money. I need to raise. I got a kid to raise.
Yeah, of course. But my plan was to graduate, go to wrestling school, because I was training with some turds in Louisiana. And I mean turds, like, because that's all they had there, and there's still a ton of them there and all in surrounding areas. But it was all they had.
Right.
But I knew in my mind that I had to break that. Like that wasn't what they were doing, wasn't right. That wasn't, you know, there was no value to it, and it was really a bunch of idiots. So I knew that I had to get out of there. So I called Rob, told him. He said, "Okay, when do you plan on coming up here?" I told him a date. Okay, cool. Well, call me when you leave. I call him, set a date. That Monday I call him. Doesn't answer. No, I'm sorry. Monday he answers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Monday,
Oh, okay.
Tell him I'm on my way.
Yeah.
Drive up to Philadelphia. Get up there the first day. Doesn't answer. Second day.
This is like the most wrestling thing ever, by
the
the way.
So I get a hotel. Keep in mind, I'm young, right? I
And you're trying to go there to make money, not to like buy money to spend money
I got
on
like
hotels.
$2,000 saved. I saved up $1,000, and my adopted dad gave me $1,000 too.
Okay.
So I said, day 2, no answer. Hotel again, $100, right?
Boom. Right there. 10% of your money.
Day
Boom.
3, I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
No answer. And I get in touch with Doug Gentry, who used to work for our video. Rob's best friend. So I say, man, I tell Doug what's going on. Doug gets pissed because I was cool with all those guys. So Doug's like, this MFer is at this place right now. call him on this number. He will pick up the phone. So I call. Rob picks up the phone. He's in total shock because he doesn't know how I got the number. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, are you here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said,
Are you here?
Yeah. I said, "Dude, I've been calling you for 3 days." He knows what he was doing. He was ignoring me. So I said, "Okay, when can I start the job?" And he goes, "Oh man, the job I was gonna give you, the guy's not quitting anymore, so you're just gonna have to find a job."
What?
And I'm like, "All right." I said, "Well, I spent 3 nights in a hotel and my money's burning really fast. So
Yeah.
what about the apartments?" And his exact words were, "There's tons of apartments out here. Just go find one." Bruh. I got no credit. I know absolutely nobody in Philadelphia. You know, everybody's spread out, and I'm crying. I'm disappointed. I'm like, man, I'm gonna fail. But I was like, I'm not gonna fail. Like there was no turning back in me, and I didn't know what to do.
I mean, look, I'm also sure that's where your survival instincts kick in, and the fact that you were the opposite of coddled growing up.
Dude, I was
So you've been in survival mode from the beginning.
Exactly. I grew up in Hardest, bro. I was raised on the streets.
Right.
So there was no, but it was just. I knew I needed to fall into money right there. Like I needed to start working. I needed to do something. I needed a place to stay or sleep in my car.
Right.
So I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to just drive straight to California because I know Vic's there. I got Vic's address.
From Philly.
Yeah, from Philly. So I wasn't going back home. So I jumped in my car, drove 3 days straight.
Like you
from
hung
Philly
up
to
the
Oklahoma.
phone, jumped in the car to go to California.
It's exactly what I did. I swear. I just started driving, bro. I started driving. I drove 3 days, got straight to Oakland.
And what'd you do? Did you like pull over in a rest stop and just sleep in a car?
No, I stayed in a hotel.
Okay.
I was dumb. I should have just stayed in my car.
Right.
We get to that because I ended up sleeping in my car for a couple weeks.
Okay.
But I get to Vic's house and I go knock on Vic's door. He answers the door and he look. Of course, he knows it's me. I'm mailing him, you know, my crappy indie wrestling tapes and my backyard videos and all this stuff. So, and I'm always in touch with Vic, calling him and aggravating the hell out of him. I don't know why he gave me the time of day. So, he opens the door and he says, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I want you to train me. I want to, I want to wrestle." And he looks at me. Do we curse on this podcast?
You can curse a little bit. Go for it. Go for it.
He looks at me and he goes, "You're a fucking moron." And my heart dropped down to my ass. I started crying again because like
you got the California cries, you had the Philly cries.
I'm used to being upset and like not letting stuff get to me and stuff.
Yeah.
But this was different because it was my passion and it was everything I thought in life that I'm thinking this guy's gonna grab me and suck me in and go, "You want to be a wrestler, kid? Let's take you to the top. I'm gonna put you underneath my wing." And,
I mean, this was the last. You already had your plan. It failed. So it's like, here's my way out, and the guy's looking at you like, "The hell are you doing on my doorstep?"
And he's like, "I don't have a ring. Where the hell am I?" said, "Well, just train me in the backyard."
So he doesn't have a school.
He doesn't have
He's
school.
not
He
a
doesn't
trainer.
Nah, nothing.
Right.
He's
like, I don't have a ring. Like, you're sitting there going, like, every wrestler has a ring.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what you think in your mind.
Of
right?
course.
You
He's a
think
ECW. He's on TV. He's rich and has a ring.
Exactly. 100%. So Vic tells me, look, I can't do it. And I was like, look, I told him, I said, I'm not going home. I will pester you every day. And that's what I did. I slept in my car for like 2 weeks. I started putting in job applications places in California. He had a regular job too, which I found out about. So
already your world is getting like turned upside down.
Exactly,
because how could this ECW guy have a regular job? Yeah.
100%, right? I'm like, how did this guy who wrestles full time for ECW and always on the road and on TV, pay-per-views, why is he working a regular job?
Right.
So I go to his job and every day I would spend majority of the day there just helping him after I'd put in some applications somewhere. I'm putting applications at like Burger King and stuff.
Wherever.
Just stuff I didn't think of. So
what's his regular job?
He did scaffolding. So
okay.
He ran the yard at the scaffolding company. So I would just literally go there and spend 4 or 5 hours a day just hanging out with him.
How is the guy that falls off scaffoldings the one who works in the scaffolding?
He didn't really fall off. That was all his idea, and that was that was Jack's fault. The part where Jack.
Yeah.
So from everything I've been told from Vic, and I mean, and I was there for some of them.
Yeah.
But like look, Vic was 400 pounds running up and down scaffolds.
That's
like,
all
no
he
problem.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's so funny. He's like, look, I want to be a wrestler. One thing I know is scaffolding matches. That's my specialty.
So his uncle owned a scaffolding company.
Yeah.
So that's who he worked for, and then eventually his.
So
uncle
you show up in the scaffolding company. You're just working for free, helping him out.
Yeah. Literally for like 2 weeks straight. And I didn't have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I didn't have nowhere to go, right?
Yeah.
So eventually the owner comes back from vacation. They call me into the office. And somebody comes and gets me and says, go see Mr. Brian. He wants to see. He's the owner. He's in the office. He asked me who I am. What am I doing there? And he goes, I heard you've been working here for a couple weeks, just staying around, helping out. And I said, yeah, I have. And I told him my story. And he goes, all right, well, fill out the application. You just got a job. You've been working. So, and then he gave me, he started me out at like $15, $16 an hour.
That's good money.
Yeah, this is 2002, man.
That's really good money in
So,
2002.
yeah, and I was a young kid, so might have been 2001, somewhere 2001, 2002.
Had ECW gone out of business?
Yeah, ECW had just gone out of business, I think. I think they just went out of business.
So are you also, like, in the back of your mind, right, you're trying to figure out how to make this wrestling thing work at all.
Well, yeah.
But
Vic was with XPW at the time.
So you already were like, well, ECW's gone, but XPW,
right? And
that's the future.
That was a hot thing because they had Suncoast videos. They had all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. I remember XPW, like, I was convinced, all right, they're going to pick off. They started getting all the guys there. Their DVDs were in regular stores. You could get their, like,
which was big time, right? That was like
huge time.
It was WWF,
yes,
WCW,
and XPW, and that was it.
Yeah, and that was it. And
like ECW never got regular home video release in those stores. They had a couple of specialties or whatever.
Right. So I started working and training with Vic, and we would go to independent shows, and he would train me before the show and do stuff like that. But we were together a lot. And I was just training with him, and then wrestling him on a lot of shows.
So it would just be like, let's go to shows. We'll get in the ring before the show, and I'll train you there. Gotcha.
And any show he was booked on, I would just travel with him with. And
right.
Usually drive and do all the young
you
boy
drive,
stuff.
you carry my bags. I'll train you a little bit in the ring before the show, and I'll see if I can get you booked.
But Vic was like the first person to really believe in me because I was in Louisiana. I came up around absolute turds, bro.
Right.
And I mean turds.
Right.
These dudes were bad. And they treated me like crap, and I hated it because
it's bad when a turd treats you like crap.
Because it was like, oh, when you broke into business back then. When I came into business, it was a different time. We talked about this earlier a little bit, but they treated me like, oh, you're a greenhorn, and they wanted to beat up on me. They didn't want to.
Now, are you a big guy when you're a kid?
I'm 140 pounds.
Okay, so you're skinny.
So skinny, and by beat up on me, I mean like take advantage of me in the ring, and I wasn't allowed to fight back. Like, oh, you're gonna be a ref because you're not talented. This is the stuff they used to tell me. You're not talented. You're never going to be a wrestler. This, that, whatever. You're small. You're this. And these guys weren't big neither. Or if they were big, they were just fat turds.
Right. Why?
So
what? But to what benefit?
And it was just So I had a mouth on me.
Right.
Go figure. So I had a mouth on me. So eventually I'd tell these guys, I was like, you suck.
Right.
You suck. You keep treating me like shit, but you suck. Like, you're garbage. You're not properly trained. I know the difference between,
But they don't want to hear that.
Right. So, like, I started fighting back because I was like, if you guys try and take advantage of me again, we're going to really fight. And I'm going to beat your ass.
And that's something you can do.
And then, exactly. Because I'm like, you guys want to beat up on me in the ring and I'm a referee and just because you're getting kicks out of it and take advantage of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not allowed to do anything because it's part of the show.
Right.
But now I had enough of it because all y'all do is treat me like crap, and you've never been nice to me since day one. What you put this chip on my shoulder? You got to think about it. You take a kid from the streets that grew up in the freaking hood, that fought every day pretty much, and I'm not exaggerating. I mean, I've probably been in as much fist fights as many times I tied my shoes back then. You know what I mean? That's just how it was.
It was a way of life.
I was poor. I was white in a black neighborhood. It was just, my mom was a drug addict. Everybody in the neighborhood knew. So it was like the constant pick on, you got to fight your way out of everything.
Right.
I'm wearing my mom's clothes to school. I'm wearing women's jeans, women's shirts to school. So I'm constantly getting in fights over it because, because of stuff that's out of my control.
And God forbid you ever get anything nice.
Right, exactly. I never had nothing nice.
Right.
Until I went to the boys' home.
Right.
And then that was like an eye-opening, but I hated it because it was such a big change from what I was used to. Like you going, it's like taking someone out the jungle and putting them in a mansion.
Right.
You just don't know how to act.
Right.
You don't know how to act.
Right.
So, but I mean, I got, accustomed to it, and they, taught me living skills. They taught me all these great things, and then eventually I got adopted at 15.
So is that when you get adopted, is that where you learn your kind of work ethic, and you're like, okay, like
100%.
you're not going to get taken advantage of, but humility is important. And the idea of like, I'll be humble. I'm going to like the idea that you would hang around with Vic Grimes and just go to shows with him, not making any money, and just understanding this is part of the learning process. At some point in your upbringing, that has to be instilled in you.
I was cool with being, like I said, maybe hazed. I was cool with being picked on or being treated like the new guy or paying dues.
Yeah.
None of that ever bothered me. What bothered me was people who were complete scumbags and just being dicks for no reason or treating you like crap, and you know what I mean, or taking advantage of guys. I wasn't a guy to be taken advantage of.
Right. And
I
you knew
wasn't,
the difference.
Yeah, and I knew the difference, exactly. And I
Yeah.
would pay my dues and I would be respectful. But if you were going to try and screw me over in any kind of way, like legit, you best believe I was fighting back.
So
And
I was gonna say, so you ended up in XPW.
I ended up in XPW because of Vic. They seen a match we had. They loved it. They needed some tag teams for his tournament, so they threw me in with this other guy. Said we're gonna call him the Altar Boys. They called Vic up, bring your student. We want to put him in a match on this tag team show.
Right.
Did it, got over really well. I stood out the most in the match, thank God. The other guy did good too, but he just disappeared off the map after that. Next show after that was a deathmatch tournament.
Right, so that's what I was going to ask you about, is that, like, it's one thing, and you're an ECW fan, so the idea of hardcore wrestling, I'm sure, is something that was in your head, like, yeah, I want to do this, but deathmatch wrestling is a whole different thing, and even ECW wasn't doing deathmatch wrestling. They were doing hardcore.
Or they built up to it. It was like an exploding ring match.
Right.
It didn't really go off that well because the pyro was messed up and things of that nature.
But they do, like, Cactus Jack versus Sandman barbed wire. They do, like, the Terry Funk versus Sabu barbed wire match was, like, a huge, huge deal. It wasn't...
Massive.
Right. So,
and it was always built up. Like, you always seen the angles on TV, and you seen the commercials for it after, and it was like this watch this uncensored video of the craziest things that ever happened in wrestling.
Yeah.
And that was instilled in your mind.
Right. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to do a show, and there's going to be 7 of these matches on the show, and you're like, right.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
But so, when you are in XPW and real quickly end up in this deathmatch tournament and in the deathmatch world, and I've talked about it. I was a tape trader in high school. I loved death matches growing up. I love the new deathmatch wrestlers when it's people who are doing what they want to do.
Right.
Was deathmatch wrestling something you wanted to be doing?
Not at all. So how I fell into it was they needed people for the death matches.
Right.
So they called me up and they said, hey, we want to do a death match with you, and we want to, put you as one of the finals. And I was like, man, I was shocked. I didn't know what to do. I just said yeah because I felt like I had to.
I get it, because you don't want to do a death match, but at the same time, you're like,
You think
I've
the
literally
biggest company-
never had an opportunity, and this is the third biggest company.
Right, and you can't tell them no, right? Because I
Ah,
just
they're
going
gonna
to
get somebody else, and that's it for you.
So I call Vic right away. I hang up the phone, and Vic is furious. He's like, I can't believe they called you. You're my student.
Because it should have gone through him.
Exactly.
And then he would have protected you from an uncomfortable
position.
Yeah.
Right. So he was furious, and he talked to me about it. He goes, let me call the office. I'll call you right back. That's what happened. He calls me back. He goes, look, they want to make a little run with you. I'm still pissed at them for going around me, but I think it'd be a good opportunity for you because you're going to get some shine on it. I will help you go over it. We'll try and keep it as safe as possible because obviously those matches are super dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easily to get, you could get killed, but you could also, it wouldn't be nothing to cut an artery and,
yeah.
You've seen it in a million videos. It's crazy that more the guys haven't died from them.
Yeah.
But they do some serious sick things in these matches.
But that's why it's so, I think, important that when you do deathmatch wrestling, it's people that not only want to be doing it, but people that are specially trained to do it.
Right.
Because I think that's why there haven't been more serious accidents, because the people that do them, that's their specialty.
It's a novelty. It's not.
Right.
It's not
Right.
for anybody to just
right.
do. You just don't go smack somebody in the head with something as hard as you can.
Right.
There's definitely I don't want to say a trick to it, but because trick's the wrong word.
I think there's an art to it, though.
It's an art. Yeah. It's an art for sure.
Yeah, I think it's an underappreciated art, and that's because I think it gets mixed up in all, like, your story of people kind of, because you can take advantage of people, but you can also do it right.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's a line that I wish more people drew. But, so, you end up in this deathmatch tournament.
Kill it.
You were awesome. What death matches did you wrestle?
It was first me and Vinny Massaro. So my thing was like, I knew I didn't know anything about psychology or wrestling and stuff. So when I got with Vic and stuff, I really wanted to learn that part. I wanted to learn the grappling because back home with the Turds, they didn't teach me that because they didn't know it.
Right.
They knew how to take a bump, and they went in there and called some BS match that like was.
It was an exercise in convincing kids to get their money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to learn psychology.
Yeah.
And I wanted to learn how to become a better technical wrestler. Because I knew my grappling wasn't that good outside of amateur wrestling, you know what I mean? So Vic started teaching me the fundamentals, and I wanted to apply that to deathmatch wrestling, which I felt wasn't really applied back then. It was just they go hit each other with stuff.
Right.
So when I talked to the guys about it, and Vinny Massaro was an excellent wrestler. I don't know if you know who he is. He was in King of Indies back then. He came up with Vic and all those guys in APW. So I learned a lot from that first match with Vinny. And we did 2 death match spots in the whole match. All we did wrestle. We thought the crowd might crap on it.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They ate it up.
And do you build to those big death match spots?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I wrestled Supreme in the second round, and I asked Supreme. Supreme had this attitude. Supreme was a really nice guy, but he didn't have an attitude, a reputation for being super tough, beating up on guys, knocking guys out, just laying. Like he was the death match guy.
Well, he was. Then he was the death match guy.
And he was an ass beater.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, Supreme's going to kill me. So, I had this idea, though. I said, I'd like to incorporate some wrestling in these death matches. And he was cool with it. And it earned his respect. And he put me over heavy. He went over in the tournament. But then it was his idea to like, hey, why don't we put the belt on this kid? This kid's got something. So next show we go to Philly, did the first XPW Philly show at the arena. The Hostile Takeover.
Right.
Me, Vic Grimes, Lil Guido, 3-way dance. Tear the house down. Best match of the night.
And are you losing your mind that it's like Guido in the arena?
Oh, dude,
yeah.
it was. I was in hog heaven. Right. So the next show they say, hey, we want to put the deathmatch belt on you. Do this. And I'm thinking, damn man, I really don't want to do death matches.
Because now you're stuck doing death matches if you're the champ.
Right, but I'm getting the title at the same time.
So it's a good thing.
And I'm like 21 years old.
Right.
A couple years in wrestling, but no real background in wrestling because the first couple of years were in Louisiana. So
with the Turds.
Right, hard to count them. Right.
Right.
Hard to count them. So I take it, do some kick-ass death matches, but then eventually I'm like, man, I said, look, and then.
Were there any death match spots that you were like, I never want to do that again?
Well, I mean, I did that 450 off the crow's nest through the table.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, if you've seen it. Like, it's it kind of got lost in the wind now because they've done so much crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But back then, that was probably the craziest deathmatch spot that ever happened. Because, I mean, I was on top of the crow's nest, and I didn't do it from the top to the stage where, like, Dreamer got choke slammed on.
Right.
I did it to the floor.
Right.
Which is even higher.
Yeah.
So I said this idea. I told him, I said, I bet you I can do a 450 off that on some table. I table with some guys, and then another guy's like, "Well, we should add thumbtacks to it." I'm thinking, shit, what did I get myself into? So that's what I did, and like the thumbtacks, I hit so many of them, they broke off in my hands from such force, like I couldn't close my hand for like 2 weeks, and I had to pick them out with pliers.
They were stuck in.
They were stuck in. They were like they broke off from the force.
So the spike part,
yeah,
was just in your. Wow.
So that was brutal.
Yeah.
And after I did, 3 or 4 matches, I just told him it was crazy because independent inquiries went up like crazy about doing death matches. Like I was getting hit up all over by promoters. I did not take one offer, and they wanted to pay decent money.
But you knew.
Yeah, because I didn't want to be a deathmatch wrestler.
Right.
Like I wanted to, and back then, like when I go back to saying, back in my day, it was different. Nobody helped me. Nobody was guiding me. I mean, Vic helped me, but guys didn't come up and give you advice. Guys didn't tell you what you were doing wrong. They would tell you great job even if they didn't watch your match. They wouldn't tell you that you were too skinny or you needed to improve this. They didn't care, and they didn't want competition. They didn't want somebody taking their spot because that's how it was back then. Everything was somebody else's spot.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to take a spot. You would get heat because you took such and such friend spot.
Right.
So it was like you would literally do nothing. You would just get an opportunity, and all of a sudden the whole locker room would hate you because Joe Blow was in that spot before.
Right.
And he's not here anymore, and that was their boy. So now, you absolutely just showed up and got an opportunity, but everybody hates you for that.
Right.
So, and guys don't understand that now because, like, I think a lot with the new guys in wrestling. I'm all for all these opportunities and all these companies bumping up, but I think it is a curse for new guys to get guys with just a few years experience, especially girls, because I think they're the worst, really. It goes to their head quick. They come in, they don't really put any time in or that much hard work in, and then they get these golden opportunities. So they feel like, okay, well now, look, I just got to WWE, and I'm making some good money, and I'm going to be on national TV. Oh, well, this guy signed with AEW, and I heard he's getting paid this. And I'm better than him, or my friend's over in AEW, but I was in WWE first. Maybe I need to get out this WWE contract and go to AEW so I can make more money.
Right. Everything's like short term.
Yeah. Like, and for me, I hate that because I'm a grinder. And I think, like, make the most of your opportunity and appreciate what you got. And if you can't, do it the right way, though. Leave a company the right way. Do things the right way. Leave on a good note. Just if it's not where you want to be, then try and do something to change it, but don't. I don't think throwing a company under the bus, because I see too many guys don't get their way.
Yeah.
So they want to throw the company under the bus.
Right.
And it's always easy. I find this as a Boston Wrestling running Wildcat. You're always the bad guy.
Right.
Because everybody there feels they should be the champion. Everybody there feels they should be in the main event. Every wrestler you don't book that hits you up, I'm sure you got it with the podcast. Everybody's hitting you up because they want to be on your podcast, because they want to be on your radio show. And then when you don't do it, because you can't, because you're too busy, or you got a list a mile long that you got to have guys on, they're like, screw you. Screw you. How dare you not give me this?
Yeah.
And I understand it's a work ethic. Guys, just, do more, be more, keep grinding.
So... did you go to XPW and say I don't want to be the champion anymore?
I did. I said, look.
Were they acting like you were a maniac?
Oh yeah, like Rob Black was a complete jerk off. I mean, he had no, what's the word I'm looking for? Compassion for somebody else's life, somebody else's health. Everything is, if you can't do it, we'll get somebody else in that spot.
Right.
Or like, he knew nothing about wrestling; he was just a fan. But so one show we had, and this was a big reason. Like, I went off on Rob a few times backstage because one day he told me they picked me up in a car from Philly, and he was in the back seat with me, and I was just being nice and say, "How you doing?" And he goes, "What?" And I said, "How you doing?" And he goes, "I can't believe you're even talking to me." He goes, "I don't talk to guys like you." That's what he told me. He goes, "Unless you're on TV, I don't talk to you." So I told him to go F himself.
Sure.
Literally in the backseat of his car, I told him to go F himself. And but that earned his respect, because he's like, "Oh, I like that."
He appreciated it.
Yeah.
That's so
and I was
funny.
like, "Yeah, I don't care who you are. You're not going to tell me. I'm just being friendly and saying hello."
Yeah.
You're not going to tell, But then it was like that same show, I get hit in the head with a chair. I put my hand up. Looks great. As soon as I get in the back, though, he's chewing me out. "This is XPW. We don't put our hands up for chair shots."
How things have changed.
Yeah. You're a P. You're this. Going off. And he's like, blah, blah, blah. And then Jerry Lynn stepped in and took up for me. Jerry's like, "Dude, the shot looked great. You protected yourself, what you're supposed to do." And, he's like, "Why would you just stick your neck out there for somebody to hit you with a chair if you see it's coming at you?"
Yeah.
And then, so the next show after that, Rob had me crucified and literally beat in the head with a chair several times, which I had the worst concussion in my life. That's where my concussion started. It was like, bro, if I could kill this dude, if I could see him and punch him in the face, 100%.
Because it wasn't even about the angle; it was just getting you back so that you were unprotected.
So it cost me this injury that put me out of wrestling for a while, because I had such a bad concussion, just because of some jerk off who didn't know anything about wrestling, was just a fan, and said I wasn't being hardcore enough because I put my hand up for a chair shot. Ask Jerry Lynn about that story if you ever talk to him.
I will. Did you leave XPW, or
nah,
did you XPW go under?
It was just we did. I dropped the belt. We did a few more shows, and then eventually about a year after that, it went under.
Goes under.
So that's when I started driving the Wild Side.
Right.
So I went from making decent money and getting flown and doing all these big highlight shows to back to living in Louisiana, because I moved back to Louisiana, and because I was like, oh, I'll get flown to shows now. I can go do other stuff. I'm hot. I'm getting other indie bookings now because of XPW. And then that all died off. And the closest thing to me that was decent was Wildside, and that was a 7.5-hour drive for free.
Wow.
So, I went from getting paid bookings and to
back to the beginning.
Back to the beginning.
Square one.
Yeah, if I wanted to wrestle, that's what I had to do, though.
Wow. So you did, and we'll fast forward a little bit, because you did some stuff with CZW.
CZW,
Which
PWU, which was run by Ty Gordon.
I mean, CZW obviously is still around.
Yeah.
But, for those that don't know, like when ECW went under, it was XPW and CZW that were kind of like the two big, hardcore indie promotions that ECW fans kind of went to, and guys that wanted to work in ECW went to. But you did that. You did the MTV Wrestling Society X show.
Yeah, we did that in 2006, which that was awesome. And I thought that was going to be the big break.
I think a lot of people did.
We got paid really well on it. We were staying on Hollywood Boulevard. I'm thinking we're going to be out at spring break begging girls and wrestling on the music awards and stuff.
Yeah. You're going to be an MTV celebrity / wrestler.
Yeah, you thought this was going to be the biggest thing. I'm like, man, we about to live it up, right? Me, Scorpio Sky, and Joey Ryan, a bunch of other cats. Matt Sydal, Cole Cabana, man, Alcatraz, Vic. So it was cool because you had all your buddies at me. We were all buddies, man. We were all buddies, and we got this big break, and we're getting paid almost $1,000 per match, and it was easy, and plus it was just fun, man. It was just you're hanging out on Hollywood Boulevard. They were giving us per diems, which we never got in wrestling. So it's all these young guys
because it's a TV show,
right?
And
man, it was just crazy. They were like, "Oh, you're gonna have merchandise deals."
I love that the per diem. You're sitting there going like, "Wait, I get paid." And then there's also this money that you're just giving me this money too?
Per day. Yeah.
Per day?
And we're staying on freaking Hollywood Boulevard in like this super nice hotel.
Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan's in there, freaking
and it's on them.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. So we're like, oh man, this is what our life's gonna be from now on.
I love that. Like you're flying around getting paid bookings. You go home, you're wrestling for free 7 hours away.
Yeah.
Now you're in Lindsay Lohan hotel, chilling, getting per diem, making $1,000 a match, going like, well, now, okay, good, finally. Had a rough patch, but now I figured out my life.
I'm about to hang out with Johnny Knoxville, and they pulled the rug out from underneath us.
They just go, hey, remember that season that you did? Yeah, it was just that one season. We're done with that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that again. You're like, well, I don't know. It seems like a really good idea, guys. I don't know why.
Keep paying me, please.
So at what point did you decide, like, I have to diversify to survive. I have to be a guy who has a school. I have to run a promotion. I have to, because I think that that's something that eventually people who really, want to stay in wrestling, like, you do have to kind of diversify and figure out that there are roles in wrestling, I think, where you can, if you want to, work in the industry for your entire life.
Right.
You just have to be able to adapt and evolve.
Well, I obviously I still had a lot of life in me. Still do.
Still do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to expand and do more, but again, I was in this area where I knew it was bad, right? And it used to be such a hot market for wrestling back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I went to my first shows down there, which were hot, with Terry Funk and Paul Orndorff and all these guys. So I wanted it to be like that again. But I didn't feel my first step was changing my body. I started looking at posters and going, well, why am I not in main events? Why am I not in this? And I'm going, well, I'm not good enough in here. I need to learn how to technical wrestle more. I need to get bigger. Nobody was telling me to get bigger. Nobody was telling me to go to the gym. Nobody was trying to help me whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I had to figure these things out on my own. Whereas at my school, I'm telling them what to do, and some of them still won't do it. Hey, bro, you can write it down. Yeah, you can write everything down step by step, and they're going to go, okay, so
and then they look at you and you go, well, how would you know? And you're like, I did it. Yeah. I'm telling you how to do it.
How do I jump from 1 to 30 really quick?
Can I skip all these in the middle?
So I figured that out.
But so how did you figure out how to work out properly, for instance?
Like, I didn't. I started going to the gym. I had no idea what I was doing, and I probably looked like a jackass. And I hated it at first. I absolutely hated it.
Because you're probably not getting the right results because you don't know what you're doing.
You have no idea what you're doing, and you go there, you're a little insecure because you see people doing things that you can't do. But for me, that kind of fired me up because it's like I got to figure out how to do it. I got to learn. And I would ask people, and then it was time. And then I started becoming I would say intermediate weightlifter, where I was getting results and I was decent, and I knew I knew the basics. So I knew how to get bigger, and it just took time. But I didn't know stuff about diet. Some things I didn't know proper form on. And then the Bell brothers, Mark Bell, Chris Bell, who did Bigger, Stronger, Faster.
Yep.
They became close friends of mine because of Bigger, Stronger, Faster. and Chris did, and then which hooked me up with Mark, and Mark's one of the best powerlifters in the world. So they started taking me under their wing and teaching me how to lift properly and how to get my lifts up, which got me into powerlifting, which I do competitively now. You know, and a lot of things came from that. Like I started, because of my hard work in wrestling, I had to start going to the gym, right? And I had to figure that. So I fell in love with the gym. Started training. Loved training. Fell in love with it. Started getting results eventually. But I'm talking years and years and years and years of work. And trial, tribulations, all that stuff, and learning from different people, which eventually led to me getting a sponsorship with a supplement company, which is like an ultimate goal, right? They pay you, and they send you supplements so you don't have to go buy them anymore.
Right.
Which also led to me getting a sponsorship from a food prep company. So I'm with Isotour with Fit Life Brands for my supplements. And then I'm with Chump Nola, who every week sends meals to my house to me eat. So I don't have to eat out. I don't have to cook, you know, which is right. That's like the ultimate. Yeah. And then Mark's company. So, like, they send me all their merchandise and, you know, the test stuff. And I'm always honest. You know, hey, we got this new product. Try it. See how you like it. So that's really cool because they respect me enough that they give me all this stuff and stuff I need and stuff I use. But then, you know, that all those avenues of working hard through wrestling led to the fitness stuff, which eventually led to the movie stuff as well.
Right. So, okay. So you start getting bigger. You start, you know, expanding what you're doing in Louisiana for wrestling and like.
Right. I started the wrestling school in 2011. I started. Oh, we cut that short. See, I started that because I knew that I wanted good wrestling in Louisiana. I wanted to train people. I knew there was a market there for it. But deep in my heart, I felt like I didn't have the credentials because I was always told by people, you know, oh, you never made it. You never made it because you never went to WWE.
Right.
So I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm not good enough because I wasn't on WWE. And,
right.
You know, there was a few opportunities there, and I've always had a good working relationship with them. I still do. You know, I've been down to guest coaching at the PC, and, you know, I've had
How did you like
offers.
that?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was cool. They got a really nice facility there, and, you know, just I think, man, those people got it so good, and they got it so easy. They have no idea, which is cool because times change, you know?
Definitely.
And I want my kid to get those same opportunities or better ones.
Right.
But he's putting a lot of work at this. He just made 21, man, and he's put in so much work already. He's worked for it his whole life. And he's so much better than I ever was. But so I started the school, and then eventually I was like, man, well, I gotta have shows because I can't send these guys to these crap shows and have them wrestle there because then you're like working backwards.
So it was the school first, and then it was like I got to set up a promotion so I can have a place for these kids to work.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's like the promotion wasn't where I wanted to start. It started with the school, and that kind of. I didn't think about that aspect at first.
And would you bring people in when you would put shows? Yeah,
I would. And so we started with the shows, and actually Paul Bear helped us get started because you know he was very close to me. I got these funny stories, man. Like, so when I was young, I got married in high school. I had my son in 10th grade, and I was the white boy in the Spanish household. My mother-in-law barely speaks English. Grandmother didn't speak a lick English. She didn't even say hello. So. And it's like 4 or 5 of us in the house, in this small little house. One house phone, no cell phones back then. One house phone in the kitchen in the front of the house. So because of my relationship with the guys in the South, and as a young kid, I would put up the rings, do all that stuff, go to all the shows, work out with the guys, referee at a young age, you know, like just around. So Paul Bear and all those guys, I was close with, and Bob Holly. So Paul would call my house at like 3 a.m. on like Tuesdays, you know what I mean? Like on like a Monday night after Raw, they're driving to the next town or something. So at 3 a.m, the phone would ring in the kitchen, and then my mother-in-law would come beating on the door. My real name's Orange. Oren, get up! And I'm telling me she's throwing me out, telling me in Spanish she's kicking me out the house. My friend, and I would go pick up the phone. I'm 15, dude. I'm 15, 16 years old. I go pick up the phone and. Yes, yeah, it's really Paul Bear now. It's really Percy Pringle, and he's calling.
And where did you meet him?
He's on the Indies, because I would go to all the Alabama shows, and because it's only 2 hours away.
Yeah.
So
was he working Indies
he was
and
working
being
Indies,
in WWE at the same time?
Yeah, he was, and he really wasn't working. He just kind of be backstage because his cousin Marcel Pringle, and you know, like they all had these little ties to these little Indies around there, so they would be there, and they were the big stars.
Yeah.
But like everybody else was garbage. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean garbage. So besides like Steve Anthony was coming up then. He was really good. Still is. He's one of our champs at Wildcat. But you know, and I'm freaking out. I'm going, God, he's about to get me kicked out of my house. I can't. What do I do? And I don't want to tell because I want to go, hey, man, you can't call here like this because you're going to get me. Because he's screwing my mother-in-law on the phone back then.
Right.
You know, she don't understand it.
And he's just doing it as a goof.
Yeah, he's just doing it. They're just ribbing.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's the coolest thing at the same time because I'm super Mark, right? Super
Of course,
Mark.
you're 15, 16 years old. Paul Bearer's calling your house doing Paul Bearer. Like,
Right.
that's the greatest thing in the world.
So, and I'm like, man, but you're going to get me kicked out. But I can't tell you don't call because then I'll never make it to WWE.
Right.
You'll blackball me. So, you know, those were interesting times, man. It was fun. So you got these cool experiences early on because, they, you know, like I said, they always treated me good and they always seen something in me. Some of those top guys they did. You know, Bob always was, you know, Bob liked me from day one because everybody was scared of Bob.
Right.
I wasn't. You know, I grew up fighting, so
Right.
fighting didn't scare me. So the first time I met Bob, Bob had a bad. Bob was mean. Bob didn't like anybody. Bob was angry. Bob, so he didn't want to be around any of those guys. So he was getting ready to go back up to WWE, coming off injury. So he's working some little indies around it because they could do that back then.
Right.
You know, they would work these little indies and get ready to go back up to TV. And he came up to me and he looked at me and I was skinny. And he looks like somebody wants to be chopped tonight. I was kind of poking my chest out, you know. And he looks like somebody wants to be chopped tonight. And I said, well, bring it, mother, you know. And he goes, what'd you say to me? I said, you heard me. I'm not scared of you. You know? He got in my face. We got nose to nose. And he's like, yo, yeah. And I said, yeah. Like, because I would have threw down right there.
Right.
I would have threw down right there. There was no, if you're going to fight, I'm fighting. Let's go. And
Right. Win or lose, you're fighting.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, it didn't matter if I get my ass kicked tonight. I was fighting.
We're doing
And
this.
That was exactly. I wasn't going to be bullied around like that.
Right.
But that earned their respect because then Bob's like, get in the ring with me. He made me get in the ring with him. He changed some stuff around. I had to get in the ring with him that night with Paul. And he lit me up. And I gave it back a little bit. But I took it and I was like, this is nothing.
Yeah.
Everybody else there was crapping the pants. I can't believe he did that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Hey, I'm scared. I never want to be in the ring with him. I'm like thinking because y'all ain't shit. Y'all vaginas. Like y'all have like you guys are not trained. You guys are, you know what I mean? It's like these turds. Like I'm like thinking, man, I play like this in the field with my boys. You know what I mean? Like we out there roughhousing, constantly beating the hell out of each other. And so it really wasn't nothing. But then Bob's like, man, you a tough kid. You are a tough kid. He's like, I like you. I want to work you in a singles match. I want to. So the next thing you know, me and Bob became what and what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like you earn these guys respect because you show them you're not fearful. You're not. You know, you can take it. You can give it.
Yeah.
And that's when I started like. I would pick up work ethics from guys like that though, because that's why everything was hands-on learning on the job, because I would see, oh, well, Bob goes to the gym twice a day, or Bob does this, or this guy does this guy does it. You know, certain things that good qualities you want to pick up from different guys, and you kind of blend them all together. So I started figuring out, well, damn, I got to be the hardest worker in the room. Nobody told me that. I figured that out on my own. I started lifting. I started doing this. I started doing that. I'm like, oh, I want to lift more than these guys. I want to bench more than these guys. I want to squat more than these guys. I want to everything you might not be doing. I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to be the. Excuse me, I've still got this Red Bull gas.
It's okay. It's okay.
I want to be the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's what I did, and that's what I do today, and that's what I do with my training. It's every morning I'm up. I go to the gym same time every day. You know, I watch what I eat. People don't realize how much work goes into everything you do, and because of that, like all that hard work fell off, and it got me into film.
Right.
Because of those opportunities, people.
So yeah, so you started doing stuntman stuff, and it went into full on like, you know, having acting work.
Right.
In action films.
A lot of stunt acting work.
Yeah.
So I play like a lot of bit characters, and you know, people would kind of downplay it. Oh, you were only in this movie for a minute. Oh, you only
I mean,
you
that's
know,
a minute longer than me. Like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like that's.
It's cool, man, because you know I do all these cool roles. I still do a lot of stunt work as well, but I do a lot of stunt acting roles, and you know, work with the best of the best out there. Work with some of the biggest stars out there. Always been treated really well, and the movie industry is something I love dearly.
So you work with The Rock in the Fate of the Furious.
Rock killed me in that. Hugh Jackman killed me in Logan. Stallone killed me in a couple films. Statham killed me in a couple films. Got a nice film. I got a film on Hulu right now called Wounds that just dropped.
Who kills you in that?
Nobody. I live in that one.
Hey.
I should have told y'all that. You should have to watch it.
Oh, that's still now you got to watch
spoiler.
that one.
Yeah.
You know,
I got a film with Jamie Foxx coming out on Netflix soon. And tentatively, it's going to be called Power, but I think they're going to change the name because of the TV show.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
We just finished reshoots on that last month. So that'll be dropping sometime. It was supposed to come out this year, but it's got pushed back because we've got to do reshoots.
And I know they shoot a lot of movies in Louisiana.
We do.
Yeah.
I travel a good bit, you know, like a lot of stuff in Georgia. Louisiana isn't as big as it used to be. A lot of stuff in Georgia. I just finished Purge season 2.
Oh yeah, it's coming to
last
USA.
episode of that on TV. I just did.
Man, it's a good thing you got big.
Yeah,
that helps, doesn't it?
It helps. Yeah. Well, I mean, I get a lot of roles from that.
Yeah.
I wish I was a little taller. You know, I'm only 6 foot. So if like I got a call this week, they wanted me to fight Hugh Jackman in this other film, and then they're like, "Oh, damn, you're only 6 foot," because Hugh's pretty tall, and they want somebody taller than Hugh.
You're like,
So
he killed me in Logan, though.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
Come on, man.
Let's do it.
Like, Logan was one of the biggest movies.
Yeah,
Like,
and my face was blasted everywhere with him. Like that was the picture of him stabbing me in the head. That was what went out all over the internet when the film came out.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, so it just got blasted everywhere. And I woke up that morning. This is crazy because as a kid, you know, like you don't think, even when I've been doing films since 2006, 2007 now. Got SAG'd in 2009. And I've been in over, you know, almost close to 100 films and TV shows, and some major blockbusters as well. So, you know, with big credentials on them, so which is cool. But even as you do it now, like I always enjoy it, I'm always thankful. But I always still look at it as work, right? So I go there, I take it as a new day, new opportunity, and it never goes to my head, it never goes away. But at the same time, I take it as work. As soon as I'm done with it, I'm looking for the next project. I'm not going, oh, well, I got this coming up.
Sure.
I can just chill. I'm always, and I don't ever like look back on a project and like, oh yeah, well, I was on this. I'm always looking for the next
What's
thing.
the next thing?
Yeah, so I'm super appreciative of what, you know, but what my point was getting to is I love film so much, but wrestling's still where my heart is, and I screw myself out a lot of film work. Wrestlers even tell me all the time, they're like, dude, why the hell are you still wrestling? Because you could be killing it. Because I make really good money in film. I make good money wrestling, but I make great money in film. Because that movie money is completely different.
And you don't have to bump.
Right. Well, I do have to bump sometimes. Like,
I guess that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true.
I got to bump more than everybody else because they're like, oh, Luke's a wrestler. We're going to have Statham clothesline you off this table onto this concrete floor, and we can't put a pad down because we need to get this shot.
But don't worry, you got this.
Yeah, you're a wrestler. We did 10, 15 times.
Look how big your back is anyway. You're good. You're good.
But as long as those checks clear, man.
It's all good.
But I'll say, like, it screws me over wrestling because I'll take a wrestling booking, right? Mm-hmm. And you'll book me for a show that's 3 months from now.
Yeah.
You'll get my flight, you'll get my hotel, and you'll get my agreed pay.
Mm-hmm.
But then a movie will call me and say, hey, we need you for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, and I'll go, well, I can't do it this day because I fly out for this show. And they're like, it's a continuous shot, so you got to be all these. And I got to turn down an extremely a lot of money to go wrestle and make
less money.
Yeah, money to pay that's going to pay a bill.
Because you don't want to flake out on your bookings.
Right, and I do it. I do it because, I mean, wrestling's my first.
But you still love to wrestle.
I still love wrestling, and it's even better now that I'm doing it with my son.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I love that you're doing it on reality of wrestling too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you talk about guys that should be having schools and putting on shows and stuff. I mean, Booker T is one of those guys.
Phenomenal promotion, very well run.
Yeah.
You know, they got Kevin Bernhardt who works backstage, and he kills it. Like, he's a big production part of the reality of wrestling. They have a really good product. There's a lot of good products out right now. I mean, I say a lot. There's like 10 of them, which is more than usual.
Yeah.
But across the states, there's a handful. And you know, and my goal is, like, I think Wildcat is that place. So I'm trying to figure out how to get those big eyes on us because of what we've been around 8 years. On average, we draw a bad show for us is 600 people.
I mean, that's way better than most shows.
Right,
still.
That's a bad show for us. That's like a low attendance show.
And are you bringing a lot of people in?
Not too many. I did for the Rumble because it was our 8-year anniversary. You know, we had Harlem Heat, which Booker had to get pulled for a show last minute. The week of the show, he got pulled, which we couldn't control that.
Yeah.
You know, but we had Carlito. We replaced him with Rhino, Stevie Richards.
Yeah.
the Mexicans, Bestia 666, Damien 666,
Yeah.
Black Taurus, Psychosis. So, then a lot of the Wildcat guys.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, look, I mean, that's the thing people got to remember. Wherever you guys are, there's wrestling there. So anybody that's in that Louisiana area, you got to support Wildcat. I shouldn't. You know what? If you're in the Louisiana area, you probably already are.
You already are. We got to get. I mean, we just did a show at Ring Honor, right? Ring Honor came out, did a little partnership with them, and we wrestled the Briscoes, which was really good. Me and PJ had a really good match with the Briscoes in Ring Honor.
Well, where can people find Wildcat stuff outside of Louisiana? Where can people find it online?
We got the whole Revolution Rumble we just put up for free on YouTube last week.
That's great.
So it's a 3-hour show. You can, our YouTube is mostly old clips because we have a Vimeo where we're selling it $4.99 a month of subscription. I'm kind of changing that over, and I want to put a lot more stuff on YouTube and make it more accessible.
Yeah.
For free.
You just throw some ads on it or something. Yeah.
So what we just did is we just put out the whole Revolution Rumble, and that's the most updated thing we have on there.
That's
and
great.
It's a whole show. So.
And where can people find? What's the YouTube site?
Wildcat Sports. WILDKAT. So Wildcat with a K. Wildcat Sports. Check it out.
Wildcat Sports Revolution Rumble.
Yeah, the 8-year anniversary, and you'll get a sample of our product.
Yeah.
You'll see our biggest show ever. Like I said, we drew a little over 2,200 people. And it was a really good show. The match of the night on that card was PJ Hawx versus Stevie Richards, which is my son, which is cool.
Yeah.
They built up to a hardcore street fight. And for me, as a dad, it's hard to watch because I love wrestling. I know how much it hurts.
Uh-huh.
But I lose the love and wrestling aspect from it, and I turn into a father, and I'm like,
Even though you know you've been through all of it, you know what it is. But
and he feels like he's got to do more. He always feels like he has to do more than me.
You ever think to yourself, like, if I come up to you in 1997, right? You're a kid, and I'm like, one day your son is going to be wrestling Big Stevie Cool at your show.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild, isn't it?
We never thought it, right?
Wild.
And he's man. See, my kid's already done so much more than me already. Like last year, he spent the whole summer in England on the camps. This year, he spent the whole summer between Mexico and California. I was tagging, going down to Mexico and doing.
So he's gonna be super well versed,
dude. He already is. I mean,
he's got the amateur wrestling background.
That's the thing.
That's
he's
a monster.
He's like watching a young Kurt Angle. He's that good.
Is he? Are you getting him big?
Fully fluent in Spanish and English. Yeah, he's about 180 pounds now. Yeah. But he spent his whole year. He's a junior in college, but he spent most of his life cutting weight because of amateur wrestling.
Sure.
Senior year, he wrestled at 152, and now he's probably about 180. But to put it on properly, because I keep him away. He's not gonna take. He's straight edge. He'll never take steroids and stuff like that.
Good.
But I don't want him to do any of that stuff anyway. I want him to put the work in and put the time in and grow properly, because that stuff burns you out. I'm not against all that stuff, but I think it's got to be used in a proper way around injury, around things of that nature. There's things that it can be helpful for, but just to take it recreational, I'm
especially when you're young, right?
Right, and that's the biggest thing for me is being young with it. I could see if you got a bad back or you got your knees jacked up and you're doing it to heal, but I don't believe in just taking it as a 21-year-old to put some size on, and because you're gonna.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
Well, man, you're a super interesting guy, and I could easily. We're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of stuff we didn't even touch on.
Yeah, definitely.
You got a lot of story to tell, but I hope everybody goes out there and checks out Wildcat, supports it. If you like it, that's the beauty of putting it up on YouTube. As you go, you can see what the product is, and spread the word, man. Luke Hawx, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man. And
For
you
sure.
can check me out if y'all want to check out my social media. It's LUKEHAWX 504. Luke Hawx 504 and everything. Twitter, Instagram,
Perfect.
Facebook. Check me out. Give me a shout if you need anything. Check out our Wildcat stuff, and if you like it, great. If you don't, great too. You know what I mean? Everybody to each his own. But
go keep it to yourself.
But yeah.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Be safe.